Welcome to another episode of Dad's Rules with Kevin Belzer, and today I am joined by Melissa Belzer again. We're going to do what we call Deckathon and go through a bunch of decks over, the next several years. Yeah, the next several years. So let's start out with, how about we go full circle back to the beginning, which was the date deck. I do actually have 8 total decks. I think that's right. 1, 2, 3,
8
4,
now
5,
instead
6,
of 3?
8 total decks. Some of these are completely and absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to do them anyway because I think it will be funny.
I don't know what the other ones are. I know what the 3 are because we started with those, but we'll see.
Now, we did not read the instructions last time on how you were supposed to do the deck. I have since looked into it and realized that we were doing the deck wrong.
Oh.
All right, so what we were supposed to be doing is we were supposed to take the deck.
So you can't pick a card and read a card?
You can, however, according to the little cheat sheet on the little card that was in there.
Because we didn't open them and look ahead of time.
Yeah, no, we didn't look at it all.
We were doing it on the fly because we thought it'd be more fun.
Okay, so this is what it says. There's a how to use section.
Who knew?
The connection that comes from meaningful conversation creates glue that keeps your relationship strong. In other words, the more you talk, the closer you'll feel to the one you care about. We designed the date deck to inspire your quality time together with conversations that matter. With 5 categories of questions that get increasingly deeper, you'll be able to keep your conversations exciting while learning more about each other. It's easy to use the cards, pick cards at random, or play the date deck game. At the end of the spectrum, break the ice cards die just beyond small talk. These questions are worth 1 point each. Wow, there's...
No, we're not keeping score.
At the other end, exposed cards invite more vulnerability and are worth 5 points each. Choose and answer questions. Tally up your score from the number that are on the back of the cards. First 1 to 30 points win. So in this dating deck, it's a competition.
No.
Or...
I don't know about that.
Or what we can do is last time we read what part of you do you struggle to accept? Right? Was that the one?
Deck.
No, that was not the first one.
That was
cheating.
One.
Okay.
So now that one's got to be last.
Okay. Where in your life do you feel overlooked? That was the card we did last time. Okay, so that was a blue card. A blue card was considered risky business because it had a 4 on the back.
Risky business? Was that card?
Yes, you have 1, break the ice, 2, play it safe, 3, let's get edgy, 4, risky business, and 5, exposed.
Interesting.
Yep, so what we need to do, actually...
is just shuffle them.
Is shuffle them so it's just completely...
And then we'll draw off the top? All right, let's do it.
It's completely random. All right, I'm shuffling for those listening and not watching on Spotify or
Shuffle
YouTube.
Skills. I don't think I want to play this and keep score. I'd rather just do this and ask the random questions. Yeah,
it looks like I would almost read it that whatever the number on the back is, that's how many points you would get for it. But I don't know how you determine a winner on a random card.
I don't know. It will take some more mental process, I think. I'm not worried about playing it like that anyway. It's fine.
Okay, so the one that's on top is a 5.
Red 5.
So that's exposed. So we're going to start there.
Uh-oh.
Where do you see us in 5 years?
Ooh.
Where do you see us in 5 years?
But if I answer, I might answer all the things. I feel like I know we have goals, so if I say it all, I feel like I'm going to be given all the answers, but I don't know. I guess maybe if we see the same thing.
No, just say whatever. Because maybe you're wrong, and if you're wrong, I get 5 points.
Oh, yeah, okay. But it's future. How do we know if we're wrong?
Well,
is that a delayed game then? See, that seems strange. I don't know. Maybe.
No, it's just a question. It's a dating deck, so it's just a random question. The random question, and this is actually not a bad idea if people are just starting to date, is where do they see each other in 5 years? Because maybe they have different goals. So, like, let's say that...
Oh, this is ourselves, or just as a... Say it again.
Where do you see...
Us.
Us in 5 years. Exactly.
Okay.
But what if... Let's play the what if game. What if 2 people had started dating and they asked this question and one person said, in 5 years, I see us with 4 children, a white picket fence, working in corporate America, driving a minivan. What if that's what one person said, but the other person's like, well, actually, I don't want kids. I want to travel.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
See what I'm saying?
That's right, it's the date deck.
So this is why this one would be a 5
No, you're
and
right.
exposed, because this is a high-risk card.
For
but actually,
a new couple.
yeah, from a dating perspective, this is something that the couple should be talking about.
I agree. Because that's where, if it's not discussed, that's where a lot of discord comes later, where it's big.
Yeah, that's why divorce rates are so high, because they didn't have this conversation.
I think so. I think that those are key questions. I think that's a key question, because if you don't have the same, if you're not headed the same direction, you don't have to be headed in the exact same direction, but I think if you don't have some end goals that have a meeting place, then maybe that would be big trouble. But you saying we should answer this now as if we're not dating, just as a couple?
Well, the thing is, we're cheating. This is 30 plus years later.
Right.
So we just have to answer where we see ourselves in the next 5 years.
Right.
From today,
That's where
not
this-
as if we started dating. Because that would be weird. Because we could literally answer what happened and go, see, it was planned all along.
Well, we could also think about it. I mean, do you remember what our 5-year goals were then? Because we talked a lot.
Nope, not a clue. Do you?
Really?
Yeah. Do you? Go ahead and share. Spark my memory.
I mean, I feel like, because we were like, yeah, we're going to get married right away. And then I think we just had a plan that, I mean, we didn't want to have kids right away. I think we kind of followed it to a point. I think I wanted to have kids sooner, but I think we came to an agreement at one point, and we just did. And because we were married 6 years before we had kids. Mm-hmm. I would say, I think that was, for us, that was ideal.
Yes, it was. Now, in hindsight,
Might not be ideal for everyone. I would have wanted to have kids maybe a couple years sooner, but
yes, that's a hindsight thing.
for sure.
What we probably should have done is reevaluated our goals throughout and not stuck with the original 5-year plan.
Probably.
Because early on, because divorce runs in my family,
Yeah.
and we had a whole generation where everybody got divorced
Yeah.
and remarried and married divorced people.
Yeah.
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 So, again, you're stalling here. Where do you see us in 5 years?
If I'm
No pressure, but this is a critical question.
yes. So we're answering this right now, where
Yes.
I think we are going to be in 5 years. In 5 years, I think we will have our, can I call it dream house? Would it be a dream house built?
I don't know.
We've always wanted to build. Okay, so we've always wanted to build a house. We have land, a lot, what have you, to build a house in North Carolina. So we have that, it's paid for. And so now we just are waiting to start the process. And our goal is to have the whole nugget, because you have a completion time. So I feel better waiting to have the whole nugget before we start building and meeting with the builder and all that junk. So it's begun. We're past the start line. So we'll have our house built. We'll be able to travel back and forth. We picked a different climate than what we have. And we used to travel to the Carolinas early on in our relationship, and we liked it. And that was one of the places. And there were other places that we liked, but that one, a friend of ours, Darla, Jamie, thank you, showed us this community, and it has a lot of properties like we have. So we chose this, and I get excited about it every time I talk about it, because we're going to get to build it the way we've always talked about building a house, from scratch. So now, because it took as long as it took, we have all this knowledge of being renters and current homeowners and what we like about our houses that we've lived in and our current house and the changes we could make and the things we'd like to implement in there, even at this stage in our life. Because now looking forward, like even 5 years now, there's a good chance 5 years now, based on our kid. I mean, it's a possibility we could be grandparents in 5 years. Probably not until 5 years. I don't know. So there's a chance of that. So I think that there's a possibility of being grandparents. We will have this house built definitely within 5 years. We will be traveling back and forth. And I just think that a lot of our financial goals will be completed at that point. That's where I see us.
Okay.
Am I forgetting all the things?
Well, I mean, this is where you see us. So you'd only be forgetting where you see us, not where I see us. This is the question states, where do you see us in 5 years?
But as I said, but you and I are going to be traveling. We're going to be able to be traveling back and forth and doing this project together. That's what I said.
Okay.
We will probably be grandparents.
Oh, well, we'll see
How
on
much
that.
you love babies? Yeah.
I see the dream home being built. I see more financial independence in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I see an empty house with no kids living at home.
Oh, well, I see that, but that's inevitable. That will happen no matter what.
It better happen in the next 5 years. Otherwise, there's...
We've failed if it isn't in 5 years.
Otherwise, we need to question...
Jackson will be done with school by then.
Well, the big thing to question is that are they actually reading the Dad's Rules book and actually, following it, or are they being little turds and trying to think of nice ways to say this?
They're not turds. Who knows? They're still at that stage where their parents don't know anything, you're dumb.
Look, Dad's Rules...
You know nothing.
The Dad's Rules books lay out a blueprint to how to be a kick-ass adult. It is up to the person reading the books, listening to the podcast, whether they actually go out and incorporate Dad's Rules into their life, or if they're going to be stubborn poopy heads and not follow the rules and have a very unsuccessful, non-kick butt life.
Yeah. I think you have some valid information in there that if they do it, they'll have success.
Yeah, but it's up to the person reading it.
True.
Whether they actually incorporate it or not.
True.
I can only give you the knowledge. I can't make you actually follow through and incorporate it into your life.
What's that old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple there.
Yeah.
So if you are starting to date, or even if you're in your relationship somewhere along, this is actually a very good question. They have it as a 5 on the scale of 1 to 5, which I think is appropriate because can be a make or break thing in relationships where you do need to actually think about, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself as a couple in 5 years? Because if you're not equally yoked, there could be a major problem there.
For sure. It makes for extra challenges that don't need to be there.
Right. And I think I'd be remiss if, before we wrap this up, I didn't point out the fact that it does not say Dad's Rules Podcast behind me. It says MAF Podcast. I probably should have done this at the beginning. On future recordings, I will do that. But we are actually on location today, filming at the Menace Underground, the MAF Podcast, doing a on-the-road version of Dad's Rules. So when you see a sign behind me, no, that's not the podcast I'm on at the moment. It just happens to be neon lit up, and it looks really cool in the background, so we're just going to leave it alone. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Till next time. I need you to subscribe, review, leave comments, tell your friends, your enemies about it. Everybody needs a podcast. Everybody needs help in the relationships, in life, in business, to be kick-ass. So until next time, go out and be the kick-ass adult I know you all can be.